for people who don't know about who Francine is, maybe they live here in North Carolina and have never heard of this cat. Like, how would you describe her? Why is she so important to Richmond?
Francine's hard to explain. So, when you hear about Francine, you see that she's a cat. You think, okay, she's just a little kitty living in the Lowe's, but she's much more than that. I've said in the past, she's the glue that holds Richmond together. She's an enigma. She can't be defined by just words. You really have to experience her to fully understand her. She's loved by thousands and thousands of Richmonders. She's constantly the face of the RVA Reddit page. There's merchandise all over the city about Francine. She's in the Monopoly for Richmond, and in the last mayoral election, she received 8 votes. So,
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Chess.
I think that she also serves as sort of an outlet for the Richmond community to put a lot of positive energy and pride that we have in our city. She's sort of Richmond's, I think, self-appointed mascot or community-appointed mascot at this point.
Mhm. Yeah. And so she's been living in the Lowe's off of Broad Street near Lombardy for quite a while, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like this all started when someone noticed that she wasn't showing up to eat. Tell me if that's wrong, but kind of walk me through kind of how this kick-started, how people found out that that she wasn't in her home, the Broad Street Lowe's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chaz found out first.
yeah. I ended up I take my dog to the Lowe's to go for a walk when it rains, and so last Friday I went over there, took Bowie, my little yellow lab, and one of the employees I was just chatting with while we were checking out, and she was petting Bowie. I was telling her like, yeah, she loves Francine, but Francine does not like her. Francine has swiped at my dog before, uh, but that's kind of why we love her is that she is a take no prisoners kind of person or kind of kitty. And the employee let it slip that Francine has gone missing. She said hasn't even been here. And I asked, "Oh no, did something happen?" And she said, "We think she either ran away or someone took her. They're telling us to be really quiet about it." And then I texted Elise, and we decided to create the Instagram, and it's kind of snowballed from there.
Mhm. So tell me a little bit about kind of what what this like citywide and now almost like nation and international search has kind of discovered, right? Like kind of walk us through the big hits. So we know that, she's missing. How do we learn that she's missing? And then how do we find out that she might be here in North Carolina?
Yeah. So once we made the social media, we made the Instagram, we started making flyers, posting them online, sharing them to all of our groups that we are a part of. Chaz made a Reddit post, and through that Reddit post, we had someone update us that they were actually a worker at the Lowe's, and that they wished to stay anonymous, but that they had reviewed tapes with workers at the Lowe's, and they had seen that she actually went onto a distribution truck that was headed to North Carolina. So at that point, once we got that information, I think the internet kind of went crazy in Richmond. People were calling the distribution facility, trying to figure out if that was true. The people at that point in time, it was I think around 8 or 9 p.m. So the late night workers were like, "We have no idea what you're talking about. Please call back tomorrow." So someone had said like they're requesting a call with the manager tomorrow at 7 a.m. So I called at 7 a.m. this past Sunday, spoke with a shift manager who hadn't never heard of Francine. This was the first he had heard about her. But he did tell us that the weekend of the 20th, either on the 20th or around the 20th, they had a truck that they had opened up. And there was a white cat inside of it. So there was confirmation that there was a white cat. No one at the time could confirm if it was Francine. But at that point, we had strong suspicion, since that was the truck from Richmond, that that's where she had ended up. So now it's kind of been just a lot of different tips through the internet that we're trying to have to like weed through. We've got a lot of people on the inside who are giving us information anonymously. We've had people like the neighbors of the facility that own the lands next door. They've been checking their property daily, driving it. We've had, the shop owners down the street patrolling the roads. So a lot of different information from different angles that we're trying to confirm, some false information, but we're getting daily updates, not from Lowe's corporate itself, unfortunately, no matter how hard we try. But we've got the information rolling in.
Yeah, and we really are doing our best to try and work together with Lowe's corporate. It has so far, unfortunately, been met with mostly silence. We've placed calls in with the CEO's office. We've directly reached out to the chief marketing officer, offering control effectively over the story if they would just work together with us. And so far, we haven't heard anything back. So we are urging the community to keep pressure on.
Yeah, we actually were given the generic PR email of the Lowe's, just Lowe's PR at Lowe's.com, to reach out to them. We were given that by the general manager. So on Monday, after we had the call, the shift manager had told us to call back with the general manager the next day. And so Chaz and I, along with two SPCA workers, decided we were just going to show up and we were going to have the conversation in person. That took them by surprise. They were not expecting us to be there. We were there 10 a.m. bright and early after their 8 a.m. meeting, which we were told they were going to hand out pictures of Francine in. Not sure if that ever happened, but yeah, the general manager tried to help us gain access to the facility, but ultimately corporate denied that request. We had like 3 meetings with him that morning, but yeah, ultimately they had said no, we weren't allowed in the facility. So it was unfortunate because at the time, we had the SPCA workers there, we had the two of us, we had traps, we had a team of 5 waiting in Richmond, ready to come down with traps as well. SPCA also had a team in Richmond waiting with traps, so there was a lot of people ready to start searching for Francine that day, and we just weren't allowed to. So we were told that the animal control officer for the area was going to be in charge of it. It's going to be one person. He's allowed to have 4 traps in the facility. Mind you, it's a 1.5 million square foot facility on the inside. The outside of the property is even larger within their gates. So obviously, we knew that was not going to be enough resources for them to bring her home quickly. We ended up meeting with the ACO, the animal control officer. He's actually been very helpful. He's been giving us an update once a day. He would told us he would tell us every day once he goes and checks the traps, if they were successful or not. Actually haven't heard from him today, so we're expecting that here shortly. So far, it hasn't been successful. He told us yesterday that he was moving the location of the traps and hoping to find, an area maybe that she's more likely to be in. He does have her blanket that she uses in her carrier, so a familiar smell that's underneath one of the traps. But yeah, for the time being, we don't have any positive updates.
So this is really fascinating. So it sounds like you all, and this is just what I'm also gathering from like Instagram as well. It sounds like there's a concerted effort from folks on the ground who want to help Francine, but corporate is saying, no, we're only going to allow this team to come in and they're only allowed to do XYZ, and that's about it. And
Yeah,
so
that is
y'all,
that is correct.
yeah, and so y'all are asking, okay, hey, we have like people who are willing to help out. We're not trying to, bust up this distribution center. We just want to get our cat back, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's been talk about, I guess, distribution facilities, the way that they optimize their warehouse functions. They've got all of these conveyor belts, they've got these machines, possibly AI, things like that. Secrets allegedly that they're trying to keep from other distributors. They're quoting that as the reason why they're not, letting people in. Like they're not letting the animal control officer review their security footage. They're not letting him in with his body camera, which he legally has to wear. So it's a lot of weird hiccups that Lowe's, is keeping people from entering. We've got 3 different organizations in Richmond who are ready to be there, professional trappers. That's what they do for their job. We've even reached out to the animal control office in Richmond, asking that they go down down. They're interested, reaching out. So we'll see if that's successful. We haven't heard back yet. But we really have a strong effort here in Richmond, willing to go down there and make it happen. But Lowe's corporate is the only one keeping us from doing that, unfortunately.
Do
We
y'all have
have,
do you have
oh, sorry.
copies of that of that language that they have shared with you about?
They have not shared this with us. So these are things that we're getting from our community, information that we're getting from the officer. We're really hopeful that, by sharing this, maybe it puts some more pressure on Lowe's to give us more information, and it doesn't make them draw back what little information that they are giving us. Because really, they're not giving us anything. We're getting this from our community partners, from people on the inside that are anonymously giving us tips and information. Um, we just put out our petition today, this morning, through the Best Friends organization. We're asking for three things. It's really, really not that crazy. We're asking for full transparency and daily updates. That's number one. Number two, we're asking for additional trappers and volunteers allowed on site. And then third, we're asking for them to deploy advanced technology such as scent dogs, heat-seeking drones, field cameras and things of that nature. And these aren't things that, Chaz and I are just thinking of ourselves. These are recommendations from the experts that are giving us guidance. Really, we're just the voice here. We're not, the ideas behind the operation. While we do have a lot of them, we're really relying on our community. To help us in this effort. So we're hoping that the petition is successful. It'd be nice if Lowe's started to tell us directly what they're doing. Like Cha said earlier, they can really take control of the narrative and spin this the way they want to, but they need to start communicating with us first.
Yeah, Chaz, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it, and I put this in the most recent uh, Reddit update that we made this afternoon, is that when all of this is over, there are potentially two stories that can be told. One is a heartwarming homeward bound style story where Lowe's teams up with with a community that's banded together to save this beloved cat, or it's a story of a community banding together against a giant, unfeeling corporate entity. And so my message directly to Lowe's in that post and its leadership is, do you want to be the heroes of the story, or would you like to be Cruella de Vil?
It's really their choice. Yeah, and it starts with them communicating with us.
I think what's also interesting too is the fact that if someone had eyes on her and were able to confirm, yes, we saw this white cat. I mean, why could they not share anything beyond that, right? Like if they haven't seen her since, if she just ran off and now they can't find her, I mean, wouldn't they not want a random cat roaming around
Right.
this facility, or wouldn't they try to be transparent and say, yeah, we did what we could, and now we have no idea if she's even on the property or not? Um,
Very strange, but there's a lot of levels to it. It's a very interesting story. So I guess the bay that the specific truck came to that Francine was on was a third party vendor, and that third party vendor stopped their contract allegedly on the what was that, last Thursday? I don't know what date that was, which was a few days after Francine allegedly got off the truck. So unfortunately, those people no longer work in the warehouse for us to be able to question. Not that Lowe's would let us question them anyways. However, we have gotten in contact with that third party vendor. We're in contact with someone from leadership there, and they are doing their best to try and get us in contact. We do have a name of the individual who allegedly saw Francine that day. So the supervisor is trying to ask them questions. We haven't heard back yet. So yeah, it's a lot of very strange, and of course, why of course they would stop their contract a few days after we find out, and of course we wouldn't be able to reach out to them. So I mean, we even tried with the ACO while we were like, while you're on property, can you ask for this person? And he was like, yeah, I did. They're not here anymore. So it's just a lot of unfortunate sequences of events.
and so what y'all are learning about just the desire to keep industry secrets, the desire to kind of, not let people on property for certain reasons, that's all coming from tips and things that y'all are getting from anonymous sources. That's not coming directly from Lowe's at this point.
No, not from directly from Lowe's. And I wish we could share everyone's information and tell you how we know these things, but unfortunately, there's been a few things said that make us fear for the security of the Lowe's employees' jobs. Um, so, we really want to protect our neighbors here in Richmond and then the people down in North Carolina who are helping us try and get Francine home. Um, but that is a concern of ours. And so we've alluded in a few posts, even Chaz today made one directly. If Lowe's were to retaliate against any of the workers helping us find Francine, it really would not end well. We've got such a large following online currently. We started this Instagram account on Saturday. We currently have almost 15,000 followers. This morning, when I checked it, yesterday's views on the Instagram account were 4.1 million. We've got this information spread to people in Scotland. We've heard people in Australia, people all over the world. I had Brazil earlier comment on one of our posts. So it's definitely a national story at this point, and it's going international. We're concerned for some Lowe's workers, but we're hoping that if we keep everything anonymous and do our best that no one is retaliated against.
Mhm.
My question for Lowe's is also if they are willing to hire a third party to work on the loading bay, why is it impossible for us and our community organization partners to sign the same non-disclosure agreement and get the same safety training? We're all willing to put ourselves through that. It's like 12 plus hours of safety training to access that warehouse.
And I'd
But if
like to
they're
add,
willing to
I
go
have
with,
done all of the OSHA safety trainings for my current job. I am certified. Let me in.
we showed up with steel-toed boots and everything on what Monday,
Mhm.
so we were ready.
Okay. Yeah, we were.
Do y'all anticipate coming back down here at all anytime
Oh,
soon?
yeah, definitely. We've got a team on Sunday with one of our organizations of trained trappers that are prepared to send the best of the best down there. Unfortunately, we're not at this point in time. We don't think we're going to have access to the facility. However, we do have permission from the landowners that own the property completely surrounding the facility to be on their property. So we plan to send trappers down there, and hopefully they're going to look for any signs of any cat activity, potentially even set up trail cameras if we can get that permission and make sure that we have organizations that are close to the Garysburg area able to check them frequently and change the SD cards. But yeah, that's definitely our next trip. Will be on Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. Have there been any organizations like close by or even that homeowner, right, that you think would be either A, willing to work with us and just give us context and talk with us on camera, or even just just give us some background kind of stuff or kind of what they're doing, even if it's not on the record? Like, do you think that there might be some media friendly
Yeah,
folks?
yeah, yeah, for sure. The motorcycle shop owners that are down the street from the distribution facility have been extremely friendly. Like I said, I think the husband who works at the shop has been patrolling the road each day, a few times a day. I can reach out to our contact who owns the land. I know it's a older couple. Her husband is the one patrolling the trails on his property. But I spoke with her this morning, so I could definitely reach out and see if she'd be willing to say anything.
That would be great. And even just from our standpoint too, because I imagine, because I have no idea, I'm like kind of in an anchor reporter role now, so I don't know if they'll send me that way or not. But if they did, I don't want anyone to kick us off their property. And so it would be very helpful if we already had approval from the property owners to park there and at least get some video or something like that, because then they can't come after us and say, oh, you're on our property, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure they'd be more than willing. And their property literally touches the gate of the
Okay.
Lowe's. So yeah, that would we could definitely get that approved.
Yeah, that would be super helpful. You have my phone number, so like feel free to text and just kind of let me know like if someone is willing to either just host us and let us sit and get video or is even willing to speak with us, the more the merrier. I'm gonna reach out to Lowe's Corporate. I haven't done that yet today because I wanted to know if y'all had gotten anything kind of since this conversation or since we first touched base, but it seems like that is not the case. So I will be emailing them very promptly.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I'm sure they're going to give you the same answer they have given the last six news stations. That is
mhm.
something along the lines of, we care deeply about pets and we love Francine and we've microchipped her in hopes that she'll come home if this were to ever happen. It's been the same response every single time. So I do hope you get something different,
Yeah.
maybe something more specific to the situation, or at least an update of where they're at. Because, they sent two workers down from the Richmond Lowe's yesterday in hopes that, they were going to go around the facility, call out her name. They have a specific call for her, hoping that she would come out, and that was unsuccessful. Unfortunately, we were promised that they would give us an update when they returned. If it weren't for a tip from someone on the inside that they had returned empty-handed, when I had to explicitly reach out and ask for an update. If I hadn't have reached out, I'm not sure that they would have let us know, even though that was something that was promised. So.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Well, I will obviously be in touch. I'll be keeping track of the Instagram and hopefully we have a good outcome with all of this.
Yes, yeah,
I'm
we'll bring
really
your team home.
yeah. I was gonna say, what's your last message to folks who maybe like obviously don't maybe they don't have any kind of touch to Richmond at all. What's what's something that you'd want them to know about this story or about Francine?
I actually have two things, one unrelated to the question. I just wanted to make note of the current drop in Lowe's stocks since the Francine story has come out. Chaz posed a good question earlier online about investors. Chaz, do you want to state what you had said?
Yeah, so we have noticed that since the news of Francine leaving, going missing, broke, the share price has fallen by about $10 per share. So if you are a Lowe's investor, if you have Lowe's in your 401k plan, check it out. Call the investor relations line and ask them why some bad press about a missing cat is costing you money.
And then to go back to your question, I think my final message is just that Richmond cares so deeply about Francine. It's not a story that we're willing to just let go of. To us, Francine isn't a PR stunt. We're not doing this for us. We're doing this for Francine because she's an old girl. She's lived at the Lowe's for so long. She needs to live out her golden years in a place that's familiar to her, and she deserves all of the effort in the world to get back home to us. And Richmond is able to provide that. We're willing to provide that. We really want to provide that. We're trying our best. The only thing standing in our way right now is Lowe's Corporation. Um, so yeah, my final message is we will not give up. We will be persistent. We will be annoying. We will have all of our followers spam them as we've been doing. And this is just a fight that we're not willing to lose.
Chaz, do you have anything?
I think the true message of Francine, aside from what Elise said, which I fully agree with, is that she really represents how the community in Richmond is capable of coming together, especially in incredibly divisive times. That's what we keep hearing is that, it's so great to actually see the community, regardless of background, political leaning, race, class, coming together over this. And that's what
Yeah.
makes Francine so special.
And this is really a story of compassion, right? Like it's a story about caring for something small that can't speak for itself, and doing what you can as a community to help that thing, right? And just do the right thing. So yeah, I'm so appreciative of y'all chatting with me. It feels very weird to be talking about something Richmond related here in North Carolina, but I told my newsroom I was like, this is serious. So I will keep y'all updated and please text me, email me, like any kind of like corporate communication that y'all have gotten, any kind of person who is here in North Carolina who might be willing to chat with us about what they're doing on the ground, if they'll let us park in their driveway or something like that and be on their property, because that will help us out as well. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I'll do that. I can send you those contacts. And if you haven't already, reach out to the Richmond SPCA. They've really been the biggest organization that's been so monumental in helping us and giving us advice, and connecting us with other community partners. They might be a good source of information as well.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Well, thanks y'all. And I hope that I hope that this story. I hope that we hear back and Francine has been found
Yes, thank you so much
today.
for
Yeah,
meeting with us. We really
Well, but
appreciate it.
of course, of course. All right. See ya.
Yeah, bye
thank you.
everyone.
Bye.